All right, so who had a question? Let's go. Victoria. Number 13. Describe the transformations that would be necessary to change this curve into this curve. Now, what I need for you guys to understand is, if I were to graph these two things, they would be exactly the same. They're in different places, but they are the same curve. These are both just little parabolas. How do I know that they're the same size? There's no coefficients. Or if there were coefficients, they would be the same coefficients. Then I would know they were exactly the same size. These are the same parabola. Where's this one sitting?
-2, -8.
At -2, -8. Okay, so here's my parabola down here at -2, -8. That's that one. Now the question simply says, what do I need to do to move it to here? Well, where is this?
3, -4.
At 3, -4. So how are you going to move this one to get to this one? What are you going to have to do? You're going to have to pick it up and move it 5 units to the right and 4 units up. That's it. That's the question. A transformation is anything that changes the curve in any way. So you can reflect, you can translate, that means pick it up and move it, or you can stretch it or shrink it. Those are all transformations. Bailey.
Number 5, just, I forget how to find
The domain of the inverses will be the range of the original. So was there one in particular you want to look at?
we can just do A.
A. What's that look like? It's your square root function, right? Only this has been shifted 1 unit to the left. Tell me about the domain of that function. What's the domain of this guy? The domain is not all real numbers. X is greater than or equal to -1. What's the range? Take a look at the picture. It's pretty obvious. The range is what? Y is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, that's the original. Now, the inverse, even without its equation, I can tell that the inverse is going to have what domain? Well, X is greater than or equal to 0. And my range will be Y is greater than or equal to -1. Even without the equation, I can tell that simply because I know the variables have been flip-flopped. Okay, Bailey? Hannah?
Number 4 on number 9.
Number 4 on number 9. Okay. Got the box. It's 12 by 18. Okay, so you wrote your volume equation, 18 minus 2x, 12 minus 2x, and x, right? That was your volume equation. And you did all that. So what size cutout? Okay, so when you graph that picture, you end up, your domain is 0 to 6, right? So on the interval 0 to 6, you get some kind of hill. And what did your maximum turn out to be?
3,228.16.
3,228 point something?
Yeah.
Okay. Now it says, what size cutout? That was the, are you sure it was that big?
It was like 228.
Oh, that's pretty large. Let's try that again.
Yeah, maybe, sorry.
Did anybody get the, what is the actual maximum?
228.16.
So 228, okay, so the maximum volume of the
I
box.
put like three, like the number 3, 228.18.
Oh,
My bad.
okay.
Sorry.
Now,
Oh, man.
are there lesser volumes than that? Yeah,
Yes.
you can have any volume less than 228, between 0 and 228. So somewhere, there's a volume that's 150. This Y value is 228. Somewhere, actually, 2 places, there's a volume that is 150. And we want it to actually be 150. So what I would do, if I were you, there's a couple different ways you can do this, but what I would do is, I'd go ahead and leave this equation graphed in there, and then put in a second equation, just Y equals 150. And that will graph that line. And then in your second calc menu, you'll see an intersect. You know, you got max and min and 0, well, you also have intersect. So I would choose that option and find that point of intersection right there. And when you do second calc intersect, it asks you the same things it always does. It says set it on the left,
You just do both sides.
set it on the right, and
It says first curve.
okay, that just set it, wherever the cursor is, set it to the left in the point you want. Then you're gonna put it in the right, it'll switch over to the other curve. Just put it to the right of that point, and then put it on that point and hit enter. And it will give you the X value, which is what you wanted. And then you have to redo it for this one over here. So that's one option, that's probably the easiest way to find those points. Okay, Jamie?
Number 4.
Which part of number 4? Number 4 has 5 pieces to it. Which one? I already did A. Which one do you want me to do?
Find the inverse of A minus E.
No, it's A through E.
Oh,
I thought it was A minus E that first
that's
two.
my issue.
Can you do 4C?
4C. Okay, so 4C. Let's do that domain range thing first, and then we'll actually find the inverse. So the function is x plus 1 over x minus 5. Tell me about the domain and range of the original function. What's the domain?
X can't equal 5.
X can't equal 5. What's your range?
All real.
No.
1.
Y can't equal 1. And why can't y equal 1?
Because that's the number in the...
Well, that's the horizontal asymptote, right? This picture is a version of the reciprocal function, and it has a horizontal asymptote at 1 and a vertical asymptote at 5. So are we ever going to equal 1?
No.
No. Okay. Now, if that's the domain and range of the original, what are the domain and range of the inverse? Domain would be
X can't equal 1.
x can't equal 1, and range would be
Y can't equal
y can't equal 5. All right, let's see if that pans out. Let's find the inverse. Okay, remember we switch our variables. You did this on your quiz. Okay, then we'll bring this over here. And then what do we need to do?
5. Get all the Y's on that side.
And then we will factor and divide. So I'm getting 5x plus 1 over x minus 1 as my inverse.
Okay.
Okay, now does that pan out with what we said? Would the domain be anything except 1?
Yeah.
And would the range be anything except 5?
Yeah.
All right, anybody else have a question about one of our problems? Robert?
Number 6.
Prove that the inverse is found, consider 3b. So now I gotta find inverse for b. Okay, so here's the function. I can actually actually do this one in my head, I think. If the function multiplies by 2 and then subtracts 2, what's the inverse going to do? It has to undo that. So it's going to add 2 and then divide. So that should have been the inverse that you came up with. Now, if we're going to check that, it says prove, and I'm going to actually prove it. Let me call this G just for notational purposes. I have to find this composition and this composition. If I'm actually going to prove it's the inverse. Now, I can do a real quick check that is almost always, 99.99% of the time, going to be okay. A real quick check would be, let's stick the number 13 in the original function. What do I get if I put in 13? 24? Put the 24 in here. What do I get? 13? That pretty much proves it's an inverse, but it's not like the 100% proof. This will be the 100% proof. We need to evaluate both of these compositions. So, g of x, which is what I name my inverse, is x plus 2 over 2. So I'm going to plug that into f. So that would be 2 times x plus 2 over 2 minus 2. What's that end up equaling? When I start simplifying that, what does that end up equaling? Perfect. Because what did I start with? I put x into g, got an answer, took that answer, put it into f, and what did I get back again? My x. Just like up here, I put 13 in and got 24, then I put the 24 in and got my 13 back again. That's what's happening here. All right, let's do it the other way. F of x is 2x minus 2. So I got to put 2x minus 2 into my inverse. So 2x minus 2 plus 2 over 2. What does that end up equaling? X. That's your proof. If either one of those don't come out to be x, then you don't have the inverse. So that's your actual formal proof. Okay, Robert?
Yep.
All right, anything else on the review sheet that you have a question about? Robert?
14.
14, what are the domain and range? Anybody have an idea?
Greater than equal to.
What were your thoughts on this? Jamie?
We have to solve for t and make it into one equation.
So what did you do?
I minus 2 from the top.
And plug that in here. Did I do that right? Okay. So then what, Jamie, or someone?
Then I said that x has to be greater than or equal to 2. And then for the range, it has to be greater than or equal to -1.
And that, for some of you, might be a little bit tough until you draw a picture of this. Could you draw a picture of this? Yes, you could, because you know what shape it is. And how has it been moved? Right 2, down 1. So if we draw that, this is -1. Can you see that the range is at everything greater than or equal to -1? Is everybody okay with that? Good. All right, anybody else have a question about one of these problems? By the way, what she did here is what we did on our quiz yesterday. We wrote the system of parametric equations in terms of x and y only. One equation in terms of x and y.
Can you do that as long as there's just one to each of the three equations?
Yep. Anybody else have a question about one of these? Okay, if you look at the next page, I think I may have stapled it backwards. There's something called Precal A Review 1-517, number 2. Make sure you're looking at the problems, not the answers. All right, I want to run through a couple of these together, and then I'll just let you go ahead and get started. Number 5, answer that question. Number 5, this is review 2. Number 5.
Out loud.
Yeah, answer it, yeah, somebody answer it out loud.
How
Yeah.
is it inverse?
The inverse is a function because, oh wait, it says is the function 1-to-1.
Oh.
Yes, because it passes the vertical line test and the horizontal line test. It is a function and its inverse is a function. It passes both tests. The answer is yes. Number 8. Number 8. 5. Sure, everybody knows that, right? Number 9E. Write the equation. So the original picture is written above. Now you're going to write the equation for that.
What number?
Number 9E. What has happened to the picture? Let's just make a list of what's happened to the picture.
It's half as tall.
It's half as tall,
It's been flipped.
and it's upside down, across the x-axis, flipped across, reflected across the x-axis. Does that take care of it?
I got you.
All right. Dan?
I got y equals negative f, then parentheses 2x.
What do you think? Part of it's right.
Is it -2?
I think it's 1/2.
When we talk about making things vertical, tall,
Oh,
straight,
it's on the
that way,
outside?
it's on the outside.
So
So
the
this would
1/2.
actually be a 1/2 on the outside. What would putting a 2 on, where he had the 2 originally, what would that do to it?
Horizontal
It would
straight.
make it half as long, and we didn't do anything this way, right? So the answer would be negative 1/2 f of x. He has the negative in exactly the right spot. Number 10. What's the domain?
0 is less than x, which is less than 4.5.
Perfect. 0 to 4.5. Yep, that's exactly right. Perfect. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Help each other. We'll go over this on Monday, and then we test on Tuesday.
There's 4.
Yes.
Can I use the restroom?
Robert.